Welcome to the station of decapitation without your head. I'm Nasty Neil, and I'm joined by Ian Hunt-Duffy, director of Double Blind, coming February 13th. How are you doing?
I'm good, Neil. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for doing this. So, for people not aware yet, can you give them an idea of what Double Blind is about?
Sure. So, Double Blind is a self-contained horror thriller about a clinical drug trial that goes terribly wrong. So, it's a story about 7 young participants who sign up to test a new pharmaceutical drug at this remote facility, and soon they're faced with this terrifying side effect of the drug that if they fall asleep, they'll die. And then they're trapped in this facility. There's a lockdown. They can't escape. So they have to somehow find a way to escape and also stay awake. So that's sort of the pitch of the movie.
Yeah. Now, I saw you made this, the writer is Derek McGarrigle. I was his last name, McGarrigle?
McGarrigle. You're close.
Yeah, close. All right. Yeah. Then I saw that you worked with him a lot. So how did that come about? How did your partnership come about?
So myself and Derek, we actually went to film school together so we're both from Ireland, and there's a film school in Dublin, and that's where we got to know each other. And when we came out of film school, we did a short film together called Gridlock, which was sort of like a Twilight Zone episode. It was like it's set during a traffic jam on a country road, and a little girl goes missing from one of the cars, and then all the other drivers become suspects. And so that was our first short, like that Derek wrote and I directed, and that did really well for us. That it won a lot of awards, and it played at like loads of festivals around the world. So we got to travel around with the film, and that was really encouraging for us. It's like, oh, there is like an appetite still for genre films and the kind of thrillers and genre films that we wanted to make. Like Gridlock was sort of, a statement of intent. Like, this is the kind of stuff that we want to make, and the kind of sandbox we want to play it. So then after that, we did another short film called Low Tide, which was more of a horror. It was like a kind of coming of age horror story. And it was like a step up in budget and scale. We did that with Screen Ireland, who are the main kind of funding body in Ireland for making films. And then on the back of that, we got development money to write Double Blind, the script for Double Blind. So this is our first feature together, but we've been doing the short films up until now.
Yeah, did both the previous short films play the same kind of festivals?
I mean, I suppose Low Tide was probably more the horror, more genre specific ones in America and Europe. Gridlock kind of skewed both ways, which was surprising. I thought it wasn't really when we made it, it wasn't made as like a festival film as such. Yeah. It was just a kind of short film that we would have enjoyed or would have liked to have seen if we were watching a bunch of shorts at a film festival. So we were pleasantly surprised that it did not only play at the kind of more genre or horror festivals or thriller kind of centric film festivals, but also at some of the, the more typical, reputable festivals, let's say.
All right. Had you both been going to festivals before you had your own shorts?
Yeah. So we would have been going to, like when we were in film school, we'd go, there's a couple of film festivals in Ireland that are kind of very industry orientated, like that the Galway Film Flat, for example, every summer is the one that most industry people would attend. So we'd always make sure we go down to that and try and see what films are being shown, or what, try and network or meet filmmakers, that kind of thing. And there's a Dublin Film Festival, there's a Cork Film Festival. There was a good few in Ireland that we would attend regularly. And then, once I suppose, as I said, we made Gridlock somewhat in a response to, we weren't seeing the kind of short that we were excited by, like the kind of films that are the stories that, let's say, got us into filmmaking in the first place. Both myself and Derek, we have similar sensibilities. We're very big genre fans. And
yeah, what do you mean by that? By shorts that you didn't really see?
Well, in Ireland anyway at the time, and this isn't like, I don't want this to be like a broad,
sure,
like condemnation of short time, but there was a lot of like very weighty or issue movies and short films, and sometimes I don't know if they lend themselves best to the short form. You've got this like very serious topic, let's say if it's about suicide or depression, and there was just, if you're seeing a few of these back to back in a program, typically you only see short films in like a block of maybe 10 or 12 shorts. So I don't know, we just wanted to when I remember just one time saying to Dark, I'd love to see something that would give a bit of entertainment in the middle of this block, like a thriller or mystery or horror, something, So when we got a chance to make Gridlock, that was kind of, we were thinking of ourselves first as the audience, really, I suppose.
Yeah. See, so I didn't, realize that there's a lot of festivals in Ireland. What's the film community itself like?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, it's a small community. We're a small country, so
Yeah.
it's a very busy industry. There's a lot of productions happening here. A lot of international productions come over to Ireland for the tax breaks. Like, so there's a lot of like American or UK or European like TV and film is filmed in Ireland. So like, yeah, it's a very busy industry, but I guess because it's a small country, everyone sort of knows everyone, so that's good. Like, you make connections and you'd know lots of people who are working on different productions.
Yeah. So when you and Derek make a movie together, do you both come up with the idea? Does he strictly, come up with the idea and write it and you direct it? Like, how's that work?
Gridlock was my idea, and then I went like the pitch of it. I went to Derek and like, could he develop this into a script? And then Low Tide was, I think, his idea. But like, we would always, Derek would have the idea, and we would kind of bounce it back and forth, I suppose, between us, and then he would go off and write it. I know Double Blind, for our first feature film, we knew we wouldn't have a huge budget, so we kind of were pragmatic in our approach. Like, okay, let's come up with a concept that can we come up with a story that would work in a confined location, like a one location horror thriller, because that's going to be advantageous from a budget and a logistical point of view, because you don't have to move to multiple locations. But then we can use that to our advantage as well from a storytelling point of view. Can create this like pressure cooker environment, this atmosphere. So we kind of use that as if that's our parameters, what kind of story could we tell in one location? And then we're both big fans of I'm a sucker for a high concept. So just like, especially in horror I love horrors where there's a rule you can't break, like Tremors, don't touch the ground, Ring, don't watch the videotape, those kind of hooks, like quick hooks for an audience. So Derek he had that hook of don't fall asleep, and I just thought that was great. Like, okay, so what can we build out from there? So that was a jumping off point. We had that hook, and then we wanted to do something in one location, so we came up with the idea of a drug trial for a pharmaceutical company. Okay, that could all be within one location, and that was sort of the impetus of the story.
When you said use it to your advantage, you guys definitely do, because so you have a group of people, and they don't know each other beforehand, so you kind of slowly build the friendships between them, and then when the paranoia sets in, you start to splinter them apart, and I think that really works because you actually care about the people once things start to happen.
Oh, that's great. I'm glad to hear you say that. Yeah. Yeah, you need to know each individual character. That was the aim anyway. You have to, if we can get to know the characters somewhat before we start killing them off, so that the audience will actually care who survives or who dies, that kind of thing.
Yeah. How about finding the location?
Yeah, so I mean, it was a very specific location requirement. I thought we were being real smart. Oh, set all in one location. That'll make our lives easier. But then we couldn't find the location for a long time. I mean, typically, if this was like a studio movie or we had a bigger budget, it would be a set build. You would build this on a lot, and then you'd have total control to design it. But we just didn't have that kind of budget, so we knew we'd have to find somewhere that actually already existed that we could then work within and augment and set design within it. So we're based in Dublin. We tried to find it in Dublin. We looked for months and months. We couldn't find it. We actually ended up down in Limerick, which is kind of further south in Ireland. We just put out a kind of a brief to all the different counties in Ireland saying, look, this is what we're looking for. If you have anything like this, we'll bring our production down to your town, And Limerick, the film in Limerick office, they showed us a bunch of places, and they had this building. It was kind of like an industrial building, and it was built to start bringing in businesses and different businesses were going to be residents there. But because of COVID, it hadn't filled up yet. So it was just like this empty space. It was practically a studio in a way, sitting there unoccupied. There's
Mhm.
only a few people that started coming in business wise. So when we saw it, I was like, this is the place. We have to take the production down to Limerick. And I mean, all the corridors were there. We could then, like, paint and dress them. There was like the big room that we used as a common room, and then some of the smaller rooms you were able to do like little set bills, like the dorm room, the MRI room, that kind of thing. And then for some of the locations like the lab or the exam room, there was a university in Limerick then that let us in to film in their actual labs, or their actual, there's a
Okay.
physiotherapy room they had. So that helped us massively then as well, from a budget and production. Like, that gave us
Yeah.
a lot of added value. So
Mhm. Did the actual building you found change the script at all? Like, was there any like, oh, we don't have a room that fits this, or we'll rewrite something a little bit to fit like the rooms we have?
there's a bit of that. Yeah, I mean, that's always kind of the way, though. Like, you have a vision of something in your head when you read the script, and then even on a very basic level, you walk in and go, oh, there's no door there. Okay, so we can't come in that door, or whatever. You just have to work around it. But no, this was eh, what was great about this was just the kind of, it was empty, and it was a blank canvas in a way that we could then, they didn't mind if we like painted like the stripes in the corridors, or the mural, like the forest mural, and we were able to really have kind of free reign. So our Steve Kingston and our art department, it was yeah, it was very liberating, I suppose, for them. Like, we did, they didn't have a massive budget, but they had sort of control. They could really go to town on it.
Yeah. Besides the length, obviously, how different was it making a feature film as opposed to making short films?
It wasn't a whole. I mean, it wasn't crazy different, but I suppose, yeah, that is. I mean, the length of it, that is the obvious thing. Like, I mean, Gridlock and Low Tide would have been like 4 or 5 day shoots. So now this was only a 23-day shoot, so it was pretty short. It was a very tight schedule, but that was still, even at 23 days, that was still the longest I'd ever filmed consecutively for. So yeah, it was a kind of more of a stamina challenge and an energy. You have to keep that energy up throughout it, and as a director, your energy is infectious. If you come in down or low, that's going to change the mood of the room and the cast and crew. So yeah, it was just kind of keeping that energy and that focus, I suppose, for the whole length. But um I guess the biggest thing was just constantly rewriting the script. Um because the schedule was so tight, we were always chasing our days somewhat. So, I'd be constantly on the phone to Derek in the evening, or editor Colin, just talking about, okay, the scenes tomorrow, is there, what can we cut or lose or change without, like, really affecting the story? Or this scene that's coming up, can we do that in a simpler way? Or so that's something you don't really have to deal with in a short. I found that was, you were just constantly tweaking things or changing things just to keep the show on the road.
Yeah. Now,
Yeah.
besides you and Derek, did you work with any like of the same people, not necessarily cast, the crew, I guess, from your short films to the feature film?
Yeah, so firstly, it's the same producer. So Simon Doyle is producing. He produced all my shorts and this feature. And then Narian Van Male is the cinematographer. He shot all my shorts as well. And again, we went to film school together, all of us. So that's probably the best thing I got out of film school, I would say, is just these friendships and these collaborations. So it was important to try and, for me anyway, if we could come up together and do the feature together, that was the aim anyway.
Yeah, that's interesting. You said the best thing you get from film school, because I know a lot of independent filmmakers as friends, and also from doing the show.
Yeah.
And the majority either didn't go to film school, or the ones that did say it's not necessarily was helpful. So, would you say, what were the benefits of going to film school?
Yeah. So, I mean, as I already said, the main thing was just the collaborations and getting to know those people, because I still work with that crew. I still have like a real relationship and a bond with them, and like a good shorthand, I suppose, from film school, from working on each other's shorts in film school, and then right away up now. Um, like film school for me anyway, they kind of left you to your own devices. It's somewhat like, it was more like you got out of it whatever you put into it. So you could just lay back and do nothing, or it was kind of, the impetus was on you to rent out the camera and go shoot something at the weekend, or experiment, or that kind of thing. So I guess that's useful, because it's you have to have, it creates like a self motivation and a self interest. But yeah, I don't know if films. Look, I went to film school, but I'm not like some advocate. Like you have to go to film school. I know it's a lot different over there in America. Like it's hugely expensive and
Yeah. I was thinking that actually after I asked that, it probably is a much different setup because it costs probably tens of thousands here a year to go.
yeah, and that's so. I never encourage anyone to go into like huge debt to go to film school because you could, yeah, like things like back when I was in film school. Like I mean, it wasn't that long ago, but cameras weren't like even cell phone cameras weren't as good as they are now. You know what I mean? So you did have to somewhat rent a camera or have a camera to make a film. Like you couldn't just do everything yourself. So
Yeah. And I saw that you and Simon started Fail Safe Films. Is
yeah,
Derek also involved in that?
no, it's just I mean we work with Dark all the time, but no,
Yeah.
myself and Simon set up the company together. Yeah, so again that was coming out of film school. We'd work together, and then we decided to set up the production company together, and do things under that banner.
Besides the idea of like, well, let's make a film that's in one location, is Double Blind inspired by anything that did you or Derek go and try out drugs at any point in time?
Well, we didn't do any drug trials, although we did. Like, I know Derek did reach out to a number of people who had done kind of lab rat guinea
Yeah.
pig stuff and got some insight there. And we've since had like because we were lucky enough to play at a bunch of festivals with this, and invariably at each screening there'd be one person who would say, "Oh,
Oh, interesting.
I signed up to a trial and you had this right, or you had or that was different, or so it's interesting to see that, like, okay, it's good to hear the things we got right, I suppose, that like even though it's a very
Yeah, of
tight
course. Yeah, yeah. Hopefully, no one's like, that's exactly my experience
yeah,
right there.
I
Yeah.
survived this terrible trial.
Yeah.
No, so I haven't done it. I haven't done a drug trial, and I know I used to love the story of Robert Rodriguez, selling his blood and that kind of
Right.
stuff to do El Mariachi, but no, I haven't done that. But no, I mean, in terms of like other experiences come into it, no. I mean, we've all have experience of sleep deprivation, I suppose, at various points in our life. I don't know if you have children, do you, by any chance?
No.
So, well, like I had my son, like our first child during pre-production of this. So I had a lot of the first couple of months. It's not a very he didn't sleep very well. So I had like lots of research into sleep deprivation and the effects on the mind and the body, and so I was able to share some of that with the cast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about casting the movie? Because you have, people know Pollyanna, the Macintosh from it's a woman, the big, and then of course,
Yeah.
which is a great movie, by the way. I know people will probably know her from The Walking Dead, but people should check out Woman, I think.
Oh yeah, definitely check The Woman. Exam was another UK. I don't know if you saw that. That's like that
Okay.
is like a one location kind of thriller as well. That was like a touching point for us. Uh, what else? I mean, she's like there's an Irish horror film called Let Us Pray as well. It's kind of an Assault on Precinct 13 kind of vibe. It's set in a police
Oh, cool.
station. And then obviously, as you said, Walking Dead. She's in Vikings Valhalla. So she's a bit of a horror icon, I suppose.
Yeah. So, how did she get involved in the movie? Did you have her in mind for the doctor?
Yeah, so I mean, so for the doctor, we wanted someone kind of genre, like that
Yeah.
fans of genre would recognize. So we had a great casting director on board, Amy Rowan, who would have been making suggestions of different people for each role. And yeah, she suggested Pollyanna, and actually Dr. Burke originally in the script was a male doctor, so that was a great suggestion by Amy. It's like, well, what if we flipped the gender and then we got Pollyanna? And so we reached out to Pollyanna, sent her script, and we kind of just crossed our fingers then. Pollyanna actually knew Mo Dunford, who was the actor in Gridlock, my short film. So she reached out to him for a bit of a background check.
Make sure this guy's okay. Yeah.
Yeah, check I'm not some maniac or crazy guy. So luckily Mo spoke highly of me and our experience together. So she was like, okay, I'll give it a shot. So Pollyanna came on and she was great. And yeah, she really, like, for my first feature to have someone with that kind of experience was brilliant because I don't know, she put everyone at ease really. She was like, she's so experienced. Like this wasn't, I mean, I was feeling the pressure of everything, but she was very relaxed, and that was a good presence to have on set. And for the other cast, because they were like a lot of younger actors up and coming, so it was great to see like her coming in so prepared but easygoing and relaxed. I think that was it kind of set the mood. It was great.
Yeah. Well, everyone's great in the movie, but Pollyanna's great in the movie. And I don't want to like spoil anything, but when like more horror stuff comes up, she's also very creepy in the movie.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, that was the kind of that scene in particular. I know you're talking about. Yeah, that was something she was really excited to dig into, like where she comes back in later. Yeah, so.
Yeah. So Millie Brady is the lead. Was did you any of you guys know her before?
I'd seen her in there's a Netflix show, The Last Kingdom. Um, but yeah, no, she was suggested again. Amy, our casting director, we were so casting it. It's an ensemble film, like there's like 7 main characters, excluding Pollyanna, like the 7 test subjects. Um, so we spent months and months trying to build out this group of characters and try our best to have them all have some sort of individualism or like a personality, like so that they you put a group of them together, you know each of the different characters, they don't just blend together. But we focused getting Claire first, and then work out the rest of the cast from her. So yeah, it was a long journey. We looked at, there was lots of different like options, and but when we saw Millie and her, like her body of work and stuff, and we had a good conversation with her, I just knew she was really excited about it, and she just really connected with it. And I had a great conversation with her. So I was really excited to get her. I think she's really good in the film.
Yeah, she's great. And you talk about ensemble cast. I saw you guys won best ensemble at a festival, which I thought that was really that must have been cool. And it's it was good because, like you said, it's a there's some other characters, but it's primarily those 7 and the Doctor.
Yeah, and that's it. It goes back to what you said earlier. Like, we just wanted to have, whether you like the characters or not, at least like them or know what. Hopefully,
because not all of them are likable necessarily.
No, that's the thing. Yeah, but like hopefully then that even at that though, you remember them, or you kind of are rooting for different characters to survive or over other ones, that kind of thing. You're not passive about them. You know what I mean? If we can engage you in some way about like.
Yeah. So when you guys started putting the movie out for festivals, so what festivals did you play?
So we premiered at Neuchâtel, like at NIF, which is a big genre one in Europe, in Switzerland. And then we played our Irish premiere was at the Galway Film Festival, the Galway Film Fla. And then we were in Newport Beach in LA. We played a number of genre ones, like in Europe. There's like the Strasbourg Fantastic Film Festival. There's one in Malaga. It's like a fanzine genre festival. We played in Leeds in the UK. We played like pretty much all the Irish ones. Like there's like Belfast, Kerry. We did the Horathon in Dublin at Halloween, which was really cool. Where else? Yeah, just kind of those genre ones, I suppose, more. So
did you guys get to travel to a lot of those?
Yeah. I tried to go to as many as I could. Yeah. So, and it was great just having that opportunity to. That was something I suppose I didn't like as a feature. With shorts, they might bring you over, but like with features, I don't know, they tend to fly you over a bit more, I suppose, or travel you over and put you up. Like, so that was a cool experience. So
yeah. So when I asked about the benefits of film school, what are the benefits of traveling around to the festivals with your film?
I think so. Anytime when we went with Double Blind, there would be like a Q&A session after. Like, I might get the intro to film, and then there's like a Q&A session afterwards, which I really enjoyed. And it's just, I mean, it's great to get a sort of a response, an immediate reaction, I guess, from the crowd, and get a sense of what they liked, what they didn't like, and and answering the questions, and then like any kind of networking, you'll always bump into other filmmakers, or could be actors or producers, that kind of thing. So you never know what's gonna come out of it. And I always recommend that to like people who are getting into film. Like, you do, like, it's a necessary evil. Like, even if you don't like networking, you kind of have to get good at it, or at least get comfortable with it. Like, going up. Like, that's how a lot of my opportunities have come out. It's just like you approach someone and say, "Hey, I'm this. Can I talk to you about that?" And, you just have to. So I think that the festivals, like, people are more open to that. Like, you can just approach them and talk about it.
Yeah, I recommend it too to everyone from any level. If you just want to go watch movies, it's fun. You'll get to see stuff that maybe next year will pop up on Shudder or wherever. Or sometimes you find hidden gems that you never see again, which is both cool, but it's also sometimes like bittersweet. Like, oh, that movie was great, but I wonder why it never, went anywhere. That's a little more rare nowadays because there's a lot of platforms. So usually, stuff does pop up somewhere else.
Yeah, but you're right. Like, yeah, you might see a gem that, yeah, you can tell people, like, oh, keep an eye out for this one. That, or, that's, keep it on your radar.
Yeah. And so when you start watching the movie with other audiences, so I assume you think like we'll probably play some in Ireland since we're, the Irish movie. But when you start playing like other countries and US, when you first go in, do you think, well, I hope they like get the movie because it's another country, or so what is that experience like?
Yeah, there is a bit of that. Like I mean, so the cast are like a mix between English and Irish actors, and there are a lot of there's an Irish sense of humor. Like we have in Ireland, we have a very kind of black, dark sense of humor. So the humor in it is in this sort of like dire circumstances or making light of that. So you're curious to see how that humor is going to translate, I suppose. And so it's real rewarding then when you hear like an American audience or a Spanish audience or like laughing at these jokes. You're like, okay, so that's universal. It's not just an Irish thing. And yeah, I guess you just want to see what they respond to, I mean, like Big Pharma, it's international, but I guess in America in particular, it's like it's a huge.
Right. I was thinking about that. There's a lot of I would think it would play well for an American audience because there's a
Yeah,
lot of things that people could relate to in the movie. And
yeah.
does that come into mind at all when you're making the movie? Let's make something that can play to a wider audience.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I sometimes people think like saying I want to make something commercial, like that's like a dirty word or something.
Right.
I think no, that's all. I want to make something that's going to be seen by the widest audience possible. So,
Yeah.
And sometimes like people have seen this and go, oh, it doesn't feel like an Irish film, and I don't take that as any sort of a
Right.
insult.
There's
I'm
no
like,
leprechauns or anything.
yeah, no, but
Yeah.
that's great if it means it feels more international or
Yeah.
more global. Yeah, great. Like, yeah. So.
Yeah. And oh, by the way, and when I said like you thought maybe it would play Irish film festivals, I didn't want to mean like just because it's an Irish movie, it's going to play anywhere or anything.
No, I didn't know. I didn't take
Yeah.
it that way. No.
But also when you're playing, particularly in my mind, when you're playing American audiences, does anyone like question the politics of the movie?
I think a couple of times maybe people would ask like, "Oh, is this an anti-vax movie?" Which it isn't, I would say, but that does seem to be like that's actually one of the things. Like this film was in development before COVID, so we were actually.
Oh, that's interesting. Actually,
Yeah, we started writing this in 2018, and we were going to go into production in 2020. That was the plan, and then COVID happened, and everything shut down, and then it was delayed. Then a further 2 years. It was like 2022 before we could actually film. But in those 2 years with COVID and everything, it had taken on this whole new resonance. Even the term lockdown in the script that was always there, but now that has a whole other meaning. And then people have become much more aware of vaccines and drug trials and pharma and stuff. So I don't mind it. Like the film is kind of a life of its own, I suppose. But it does take on this new COVID messaging or politics, as you say, and it's not necessarily what was intended.
right.
But yeah,
That's interesting because it's both like in a way of, I don't want to say fortunate because obviously there's nothing fortunate coming out of the pandemic, but it is because it's going to be people are going to like, oh, this is interesting. I would assume this is a pandemic movie, and then sometimes people will bring their own viewpoint to any work of art and see things that maybe were not intended whatsoever.
oh no, yeah, and look, that's it. Like, I mean, once you make a film or any piece of art, once you put it out there, it's no longer yours. It's open to interpretation, and it's whatever the audience responds to. They take it. Like, I'll just have to I wouldn't discourage any theories or ideas about the film if that's what if that's the feeling it gave you or that's how you responded to it. That's your own experience. But yeah, I mean, it is, I guess. I wouldn't say a victim of timing or no, it's not a victim. That's not the right word. But yeah, it could be lucky, I suppose, that it came out.
Yeah, unfortunate accident or something.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Happy accident.
yeah. So you said about before pre-COVID you start pre-production. So how much did that delay, making Double Blind?
How much a COVID delayed? I think
Yeah.
I probably 2 years. I would say like definitely a year and a half. Yeah, like so, like because 2020, nothing like that was a year gone. You might as
Yeah.
well like rip up that year in the calendar. 21, we were hoping to go at the end of 2021, but then just it was the location, we hadn't secured that, and we were still casting, so that's why it rolled over to the start of 22. So yeah, probably about a year and a half, I'd say was we lost really to COVID.
So I don't like to make the interview about myself, but this is something I can relate to. So 2019, I made my first feature with my friends Michael and Sophia, and then 2020 in February we filmed some more of it, and then literally like next week everything was shut down. So
Yeah.
it was it was a long delay, and then we finally had a festival run and finish a movie and everything. But during that period, did you ever think like we're not going to finish this movie, or were you like, oh, I think we'll just gotta wait this out?
No, you just have to wait out. Like, I mean, so we kind of got the green light from like so you go in Ireland. I don't know what it's like in the States. I mean, there's different funding models, but here with Screen Ireland, you go through a couple of rounds of development of the script. They fund each round of the of the script, and then when it's at a position or a place that they're happy with, then you can apply for production funding. So we did that at the end of 2020, like December time, and then we got the kind of nod early 2021. Okay, you've got this. So we knew once we kind of got like the promise from them that they would fund it, we knew, okay, this is a reality. It's just when is it going to happen? So we just kind of used the time as much as we could for preparation. Whether it was rewriting the script or that kind of thing, or looking for locations, or myself doing my own prep work, visual prep, that kind of thing. So no, I don't know. I'm probably stubborn. I was like, yeah, this is happening. Whether we, I'm not gonna not
Yeah,
let.
especially your first feature, and but congratulations, by the way, making your first
And
feature.
you too. I did. Yeah, congratulations to you.
Thank
So,
you.
I mean, how did you find? You asked me, and I was ask you. How did you find the transition? Had you done short films prior to the feature?
Well, it's weird because so I did festivals as press, and then I would not intentionally I would hang out and meet other meet filmmakers when filmmaker time, and
Yeah.
people like me, and so we made a short film, and then from there we made a feature, well, actually two feature films. They play together. It's very hard to explain, but and so yeah, from a short film to a feature film was a big leap.
Mm,
But they're similar because they're both mockumentaries. They're fake
okay.
documentaries. But yeah, I recommend. That's why I recommend. Even if you don't want to make films, but you're gonna meet people who love films either way. At a film festival, so you can either just talk about movies, or maybe you'll get involved. And if you are a filmmaker, you meet other people that you like their stuff, and maybe you'd want to work with them down the road.
That's it. You don't know where these like connections will lead. Like, it could be years down the line, you might bump into that person, or they might get in touch, and there's like a project you work on together. Like, it's always, you kind of have to find your community, I think. So
Yeah, and we just finished our festival run, so then in my mind's like, oh, I have to make something else now, so I can keep going to the festival.
yeah, yeah. That's always it. What's next?
So, when you're filming like the hallucinations in
Yeah.
the movie, so obviously you script that out, but from script to like, how are we going to film them? Like, how did you go about that? Like, how are we going to show these?
Yeah, I suppose we the intention was that if each hallucination was somehow different or unique to that character, if we could, from a story point of view, if they could represent something about that character, whether like we see a certain fear of theirs manifested before they die, like each of their deaths is somehow tied to their underlying fears. So that was the kind of this script thing to differentiate them. But then visually, yeah, we just tried, myself and the cinematographer, we talk about, okay, what can we do different in this? I would storyboard. I'm not a good artist at all, but I'd be very crude drawings, but like I would storyboard as much as I could these kind of sequences. I'd pull as much visual references as possible and just try and do a lookbook. And then, yeah, just with the cinematographer and other departments, we kind of see what we can see how we can pull it off, really, you know.
Yeah, and
I
no,
don't
they
know if
look
that
really.
answers your question. Did or sorry.
No, just like because you say, oh, I just think in the script, how much was it scripted? Obviously, it's scripted, but like, how much was it planned out in the script, like how they would look, the hallucinations?
So can we go into spoiler territory in this or no?
Yeah, it's fine by me. It's up to you, though. Yeah.
Well, I'll try. Yeah, I'll try. But like, so there's one death that's it's to do a lot of to do with sound or the
Yeah, which
syncing.
is right, which is that one's really interesting. I thought it was just like someone's going deaf, but it's interesting that it's like a distortion, like hearing something later.
Yeah, yeah. So that was definitely in the script, and that was one of the like some of the deaths went through different iterations as the drafts went on, but that was always the one that stayed the same because I don't know, and it was on that was on the page. Like Derek had that idea, and it read like a Stephen King chapter or something. It was just
Yeah,
really
definitely.
haunting, and yeah, when I read, it, I was like, oh, that was great. Like, so yeah, all the props to him, like that was on the page. So it was that was more like, okay, how can I achieve that, like, visually and sonically. Then other deaths were, I'm trying to think of ones I can without spoiling. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I would have a plan, and then um, it would be what could we do with this? Like the cinematographer, like he brought in the zoom lens, so a lot of the stuff where we're like, there's a lot of zooming in on Millie's character when she's zoning out, like using the long lens for that. What other ones? I'm trying not to spoil it, just but I
Yeah,
can't.
no, but well, as you said, the tagline, don't fall asleep and everything. So how to show that when they're dying, they're actually falling asleep is as opposed to just like they just fall asleep and that's the end of it.
Oh yeah, yeah, that was it. Like that was kind of, yeah. We would, myself and Narian, the cinematographer, we did up like a kind of a brainstorm or board, like a list of like, okay, what are like some visual devices or tricks we like. Sleep tricks is kind of what we were talking, like, so we would watch a load of films or different things, and like anything that had any sort of sleep thing, and like what do we like, what don't we like, and tried to come up with as practical in camera as possible. So even like when Millie's character first starts drifting in the corridor, like it's kind of blurry, that was like the old Vaseline on the lens trick, on the filter. So just think like, yeah, if there's any practical things like that, or just the orientation of the camera, like shift in perspective. We try, yeah, there is some VFX in the film, but like as much as possible, we tried to do things practically or in camera where we could.
Yeah, and for horror people out there, the deaths are very bloody and horrific.
Cool. I'm glad to hear it. Yeah, because we're straddling a little bit of the thriller. Is it a thriller? Is it horror? Or
Right,
thriller?
right.
So I'm glad to hear that some of it, we
Yeah,
have some credentials.
right. Yeah. For like, I know that's always like an argument if a movie's people argue over genre, of a
Yeah.
movie, and to me, really, if it's a good movie or not is the
Yeah. Yeah. Same.
yeah.
Yeah.
Do I like it less if it's a horror or a thriller or a sci-fi or whatever? But
Yeah.
if I like it, I like it. But who is did you work with the person before who did like the effects for the gore?
So like the SFX, like the kind of practical blood effects, that was like the art departments, like so Steve Kingston and his team, and then our makeup artist Madonna. She's done like a lot of horror films, so she was great at like all the kind of blood work and that kind of more visceral stuff. And even just, it doesn't, I don't know if it gets enough, but like the exhaustion, a lot of that is I mean, look, the performances for sure, but the makeup
Yeah,
was a lot there. Like to really, they looked wrecked, like
yeah.
exhausted, and that the makeup and hair, yeah,
Yeah,
really.
something else I noticed and this is a weird thing to notice, but when they sweat, they actually look like they're sweating. They're
Yeah,
wet, and that, I mean, it comes through in the movie. That's a weird thing to pick up, but yeah, I thought
no, I
it
mean, yeah,
helped.
you're absolutely right. Yeah, the sweat, like, and that's like, I don't know, it's like glycerine or something, or but like, yeah, it looks great. Like they look sweaty and dirty and tired, and yeah, all that.
And that
Um,
adds to the feel that they're all in here in this one place together. It's not they really can't get out. They're stuck together. Then, the feel of paranoia really amps up, and like you said, the one setting really helps that.
yeah, no, for sure. Like, and that was, even though it's like a large space and like the common room, we were
Right.
trying to make it feel claustrophobic as much as possible. And yeah, I love those kind of films where it's a group of mismatched characters are trapped together and slowly turn on each other, paranoia. Those are always great, I think.
Yeah, like The Thing, or John
Oh man,
Carpenter's The Thing.
yeah, the
Yeah,
thing is like one of my all-time favorites, and I'm sure you've noticed it's a heavy influence on this film, like so
yeah, yeah.
even from
And
the score all the way down, so
yeah, well, I think when you think of a film that really, for paranoia, it's definitely The Thing. It's weird because The Thing is a movie I loved as a kid because of the weird monsters, and then as an adult, you like it for other reasons. And I still like the monsters in it, but it's
yeah.
almost like a perfect horror movie, I think.
Yeah, I think yeah, absolutely. Like it's if it's not like top three, I don't know. I just I the thing I watch it like every year. It's just like yeah, I love it.
That's a weird thing, but I would also suggest if you ever play the Thing board game, it is so fun
Oh
because
no, I even
it really builds the paranoia because you don't know what character, because it's a group of people and you play all the different people, and some you may turn into the Thing throughout the game, and if you do, you try to sabotage everyone else, and so it
oh,
actually kind of are lying if you are, or you try to convince people you aren't, and
this is I'm a
it's a
huge
pretty
fan, and
wild game.
I can't believe I never heard of this. This is amazing. This is like my birthday's coming up this month. I'm gonna get someone to get me that
Yeah,
for my
I love it, and I still the first time we played it, we voted to burn one of our friends alive in the game, not in reality. We were convinced she was the Thing, so we burned her with the flamethrower, and then she wasn't. And like I really felt guilty, even though it's a book game. I was like, "Oh my god, we burned this person alive," and they weren't the Thing anyway. And then we
That's
all
great. Like
died.
yeah, you always like the thing, right? Those movies, you always quite like, what would I do in that circumstances? So I guess you get to kind of live that out a bit. Like, would I point the finger at the wrong person? Or yeah, it sounds like you did. So
Yeah, yeah. And then the last, because I bring it around if we when I go to festivals, and then a group of us will play like in the hotel room or whatever. And the last time, like people thought I was the Thing, and I get kind of mad. I'm like, because you're trying to convince people you aren't. But
oh, man.
anyway,
But no, this is amazing. I thank you
yeah,
so much. I can't wait to find this. I hope I can it's still
yeah,
out there. Yeah.
yeah. So, how about directing action scenes? Is that something you've done before? Because I've not seen your short films, which I'd like to see.
Um, there's a little bit of action in Gridlock. I mean, there's like a couple of fights and that kind of thing. But no, I mean, I love action films. I haven't had a. This was sort of the most action I've done, really. But I'd like to do more of it. It was my first time working with like a proper stunts team. So Lau was our stunt supervisor, and he had a whole team like so like choreographing, sorry, any kind of fight work or stunts, or like even that was my first time doing wire work as well, like for the levitation. So yeah, it was cool. I'd love to do more action. I'm gonna do the
Yeah,
first Irish proper action film. That's my that's my goal.
I like it. Yeah. By the way, where can people see your shorts? Are they available anywhere?
Low tide I don't think is, but Gridlock is on YouTube. Yeah, so if you search for Gridlock short film or my name, Duffy, you'll probably get it. It's on like Omeletto, that short. It's on like
Oh, okay. It's what?
a
Yeah.
short platform on YouTube. Yeah, so you can check it out there.
Um, that's interesting too, because not that long ago, when my friends I'd see a short film at a festival, and that would be like your only chance to see it, like because there wasn't really anywhere to put it besides if someone just would upload it themselves to their YouTube.
Yeah.
And but there are like starting to be more platforms that, or on YouTube, and even like Shutter and different things, carry some shorts.
Yeah, I know, and it's like because when we first did Gridlock, we had a distributor come aboard the film for shorts like in Ireland, and they would then they'd sell it to different territories. You make a little bit of money, like because like with short films, you don't make money of it
Right.
typically anyway. So this was like an opportunity to make some money. Oh, you might sell it to different, or you sell it to airlines and different things like that, like places where you can play a short. But then if you want to get in on that, you have to kind of give them exclusivity. You can't put it up online, and that might be for like 2 years or something. So then, you know, I don't know if I'd do that again if I was doing a short. I don't know if I'd recommend that to filmmakers. I think it's better to just get it out there, like because the response even when Gridlock went up and lots of positive response. People, like, I've gotten contacted about different things because they've seen it on YouTube. They discovered, and it wouldn't have happened that,
Yeah, because it is different than, obviously you want people to see your feature, but a lot more money goes into a feature, so you want to make money back for that, obviously. But what
yeah.
are like the goals when you make a short? Because like what you're saying is kind of like, this is what I can do, almost to show people what you can do in hopes to make a feature
That's
film.
what, yeah, no, that, well, for me anyway. And look, people can take what, this is just my
Sure.
own experience. Like, shorts were just a stepping stone to a feature. Like, I always wanted to make features, and shorts in this country anyway are kind of how you prove, like, learn your craft, hone your craft, but also, like, prove that you can, make a film, or like be trusted with money to make a film. You have to make a couple of shorts before they'll let you make a feature. So with that in mind, I knew the kind of feature, that the space I want, I knew would be a horror thriller genre. So those were the kind of shorts that I would make. Then I was specifically targeted, okay, let's make stuff that's in that space, so that when we get that opportunity to pitch our feature film, that, because invariably when you pitch to an investor or a producer, they'll say, okay, what have you done short film wise, or what have you done previously? And if I'm pitching a horror and all I've done is, I don't know, comedy, or
Right.
something drama, they might go, I don't know. But like, if I go, well, here's some short films that are hard or thriller, like, it's an easier sell. So that's what I would do with shorts personally, is use them as a calling card, yeah, but also as a work within, pick the genre you want for your first feature film, and then use your shorts to work towards that, like, I think.
What were some of the movies like that you watch and made you want to go to film school and become a filmmaker?
I mean, my all-time favorite film is Terminator 2. I think that's like a perfect movie. So yeah, just go, like, I mean, I grew up on like James Cameron, John McTiernan films, Predator, Die Hard, like 80s kind of action horror
Yeah.
thriller, like, and then The Thing, John Carpenter movies. Those are the kind of films that got me excited about filmmaking, or that, oh, I'd love to do that.
And Predator's another one that people will really argue about the genre of that film. I actually had someone block me on social media because I consider a horror movie, and they're like, it's a sci-fi action movie. It's like, that's totally fine, but I also, I
Oh,
don't. It's just a weird topic for me when people start arguing, like getting actually mad about like what genre a movie fits in.
yeah, well, I don't know. I remember I saw Predator when I was probably far too young and being terrified by it. So
Yeah,
there are definitely some horror, like some really scary bits in it. Yeah, but no, yeah, I mean, it's also like the most ridiculous 80s
yeah.
action stuff as well. So yeah, action horror, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what I like about it. It fits in multiple genres, and that's also what I like about festivals is a lot of the movies don't necessarily they'll either fit in multiple genres, or maybe they don't fit in any genre.
Yeah,
You'll see stuff that and I think that's becoming more mainstream or whatever, where a movie isn't necessarily like, this is a straight horror movie, this is a straight whatever movie.
yeah, and like, even films that can like switch genre as well. That's becoming
Yeah,
more like, you've seen Barbarian, I suppose. Have you?
yeah,
Yeah, like that was, I would love to have seen the pitch for Barbarian, because I that the fact that that got made, I think, is fantastic. I love Barbarian, by the way, but
yeah.
I could
Because
understand if you read the script, you might go, how is this going to work, like, So.
right. And I went in, which I was glad that the trailer really didn't show anything.
It was very clever, actually. Yeah.
So the first like 40 minutes of the movie, I think it's a completely different kind of movie. And then
Mm.
I even thought it was the end of the movie after four. I don't want to give away the
No, we won't give
Barbarian,
away.
but
But yeah, it's and it's a tricky line, like, to like, because I've seen some films. I don't want to name names, that, like, but there's definitely other films that have tried to do the same, the same genre switch or the same trick, and it just, yeah, falls flat, or you're just like, oh, wait, yeah. So I thought
my
that.
only issue with Barbarian is, so we had our premiere at Fright Fest in London, and they did a sneak preview of Barbarian at the end of the movie when we were doing the Q&A. So some people were leaving, like, we're sorry, but we're gonna go see this. I was like, yeah, but
So you're not a big Barbarian.
screw that movie. But no, but yeah, but it is funny. Yeah, at the time I was a little, but it's more of a
Yeah.
funny story to me now. So where can people go to see, like, where they could see Double Blind? That was a weird thing. Where can they see Double Blind?
No, yeah. So in America, so there's like this. I don't have the theater list now, but there is like it's in some select theaters from this Friday, the 9th of February, and then from the 13th of February, it'll be on like video on demand. And then I don't know. I probably should have all the list here, but it's
Yeah.
like wherever you get movies, I suppose. Like that, it'll be there.
Yeah, it would be cool to get a chance for people to see it in in the theater if they can.
Yeah, no,
Um,
I would always, yeah, obviously, I would hope people could see it on as big a screen and as loud as possible. I think the sound design in the film, I think, I'm in particular, I'm really proud of the work that our sound designer Brandon did and our composer D Hex, and I think it's really immersive and it really puts the audience in that sort of twitchy dream space that they're in, you know. And it's like, yeah, there's definitely some heavy John Carpenter synth work going on as well. So yeah, as play it if you don't get to see it in theater, but and
yeah,
you're watching at home, I suppose play it as loud as possible. You
yeah,
know,
turn the lights off and play it loud. And yeah,
yeah,
if you're watching on a laptop or computer, put your headphones on. If you're watching
yeah,
your big screen, just turn it up really loud.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
And I mentioned earlier about next. We don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but are you working on anything currently?
You know, I am, yeah. So myself and Derek, actually, we have development on our next feature. So we're just writing. We've done a draft of the first draft of the script. So we're just doing a second draft now, and it's another horror thriller, but on a bigger scale, hopefully. So similar to Double Blind, but hopefully give us more money this time and make it
Yeah.
better.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing more from both of you.
Oh, thanks a million, man. Yeah, and hopefully you'll have me on again for the next one.
Yeah, yeah. Unless you're too big by then.
No, absolutely no.
But yeah, no, yeah, I'd love to have you back when the next one comes out. And I really like Double Blind, not just because you're here. I really like the movie. So.
Oh, no, it's great. Listen, thanks so much for watching it, and yeah, talking to me about it today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. And by the way, where can people follow you? Not back to your home, but if you like to follow you online or.
So my website is like ianhuntduffy.com. If you go there, you'll have all my social stuff like Instagram and Twitter. You can follow me there if you want.
No.
Yeah. I mean, at the minute, I'll just be I'll warn you, anything I'm posting now is pretty much go watch Double Blind. It might be a bit repetitive, but